Hi, and welcome to another edition of Newsmakers Journal of the Vaccine Year. It is Friday, May 28th, start of the long Memorial Day weekend and thence summer. And we are here with our all-star journalists, Jade Martinez-Pogue, Josh Molina, both from Newshawk. Nick Welsh is on assignment. All right, Jade, you have failed once again to get Santa Barbara County into the yellow tier. And as I understand it, this is our last chance because on June 15th, all the tiers go away anyway. Is that right?
Yeah, so if we if we meet the yellow tier criteria next week, then we would officially advance on June 8th, I believe, which is the week right before the tiers go away. But we were literally so shy. You have to be below a case rate of 2, and we were exactly 2.
Two per
So,
100,000 or two per thousand?
yeah, 2 per 100,000 new cases
Wow.
per day.
Yet it just seems like the embodiment of the absurdity of government that, nah, you can't do that because you're not in the yellow tier, but in 2 weeks you can do whatever you want. What's the magic of the June 15th date?
So they're going to all the capacity limits at restaurants and like retail businesses are going to be lifted. Mask mandates are going to be lifted. Just everything's going to open back up as normal, except for mega events, which are 5,000 people indoors or 10,000 people outdoors. There's still going to be some guidelines on those, but everything else is going to go back to normal.
So you'll be able to go to a Dodger game, Josh, with more than 12 people, which will be a good thing. But the other thing, obviously, that's going on is Gavin Newsom, who is going to be facing a recall later this year sometime, is going around the state like Oprah on that show where she gave away a Pontiac to everybody, throwing money at things. And now he's going to put money into the lottery. So if you get one vaccine shot, then you're eligible to win how much? Like a lot of money, right?
10 people are going to get 15 million each, and then 30 people are going to get 50,000. And then I think they're going to do like $50 gift cards for.
And overall, he's putting how much into this?
116.5 million.
Josh, you agree with me, do you not, that if you have to pay, if you have to force someone to buy a lottery ticket on the odds of winning a bunch of money, we should have rather let evolution take its course. Don't you think that's the case?
Is this a Darwin book theory that you're pushing here,
Well, I mean,
Jerry?
seriously, what are we at? 50% vaccine rate, Jade, in the county or in almost in the state, something like that?
50, a little over 50% for the eligible population, a little under 45 for the entire county.
And we don't really know where the herd immunity number is because they keep moving that around. But presumably, the public health officials feel safe enough to open everything up June 15th that enough people are vaccinated. But I just find it really annoying that, so many people here were like desperate. I got to get the shot, and they wait in line and they go and, call CVS and everything. And now they're going to give away money so people can. Josh, are you going to buy a lottery ticket? You've had both shots, though. You're ineligible.
No, I've yet to be vaccinated at all, Jerry. So I'm going to be eligible. I'm joking.
Seriously?
I'm
Oh, no,
joking. I'm trying to be eligible. I'm going to make an appointment for the second vaccine now, and we'll see if the system catches it. No, yes, I wish they would have said this. I would have spaced out my first and second dose. But I mean, I think that obviously he's turning this into a game show because he's facing this recall effort. I think you have pointed out on this show that, it's not likely that he's going to get recalled, at least as of right now. The polling is in his favor, but a lot can happen. If we start having more rolling blackouts, for example, which is one of the things that they've talked about, but he's trying to do everything he can to build up goodwill so that should, the recall issue get close. It's sort of ridiculous. I mean, I haven't written about this. I don't know where the money's coming from, but I mean, we have money to do this sort of thing.
Well,
I didn't
that's
think
the
we
thing,
did.
and go ahead, Jade.
Well, from my understanding is that anyone who already got a shot, so like all of us who, got it months ago or so, we're automatically entered into
Oh, cool.
the drawing. So like
I love this plan. It's a great plan. Gavin Newsom needs another chance. Let's not be so hard on him. Sorry.
But I did read somewhere that California has like a $75 billion budget surplus or something. So
I had the Department of Finance guy on, the deputy director I interviewed this week. Yeah, it's crazy because I interviewed him a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, and they were crying poor mouth. Oh no, we have no money. We're gonna go, and the 1% just made out like crazy during the pandemic because of the stock market. These huge gains in the stock market. So the state has a surplus of, depending how you count it, 75 million or $38 million. Plus, we have this new chunk of money coming from the feds from the Biden bailout. And seriously, I mean, if I'm a Republican senator in Washington and I'm looking at Gavin Newsom giving away $120 million in the lottery to get a shot, I'm got a pretty good argument about why that wasn't a good thing to do. But whatever. But now that you mention I'm eligible, I may have to rethink my whole position. All right. Speaking of free money, Jade, you covered an event this week about the 101, the never-ending controversial 101 widening, where apparently the state has money to advance the construction schedule for part of it. What is that about?
Yeah, so they have I think they like repurposed, or have to look at my notes to find out exactly where it came from, but there's additional money, 50 million that they weren't anticipating to get, and so that's going to accelerate the Montecito portion by a year. So and that will go in line with like the roundabouts that are happening right there. So the highway construction will happen at the same time as the roundabout construction to hopefully limit the entire time of construction for people, or make it faster. But yeah, it's a big project.
Yeah, and we had the spectacle of Congressman Salud Carbajal posing with a bike. I asked you, I'm curious, did he actually ride the bike or did he just kind of fall off?
He was really good. I was surprised. He did a lot better than I did. I had some bike issues, but
you were posing for Twitter pictures with our good friend Lauren Bianchi. What were your issues?
My shoe fell off right as I was supposed to start biking. And I had a Band-Aid on the back of my foot. So someone handed me my shoe and the dirty Band-Aid was like on the bottom of my shoe. So it was pretty embarrassing, actually. Wow. And then my chain popped off after I had just
what popped off?
The chain on the bike.
Your chain, yeah.
Yeah. So for most of the bike tour, I was just kind of speeding down the street by myself, trying to catch up to everybody.
So how long did the bike tour go?
It was only like maybe 10 minutes. We went down to the end of Santa Claus Lane. There was a little presentation with some renderings, and then just back under to the undercrossing between Padero and Santa Claus Lane.
And Supervisor Das Williams, who was nothing if not a clean energy guy, was he there riding a bike?
Yeah, he partially rode a bike, partially drove the bike.
He drove?
He got back in his car after like a block or so. And yeah.
Why am I not surprised? Josh, I have only lived in Santa Barbara for 20 years and have read only perhaps 28,000 stories about that. Can you explain clearly in a few sentences why the 101 widening matters and why it's controversial?
Jerry,
I thought I texted you this question.
No. So the reason I pause is because this is a very complicated, convoluted, complex issue. Like someday we're going to be able to drive from Ventura to Santa Barbara with 3 lanes in the middle. And as soon as it's done, it's probably going to be a parking lot once again, because the more lanes you build, the more people are going to use that highway. Now, not to be totally negative here, this is some progress. This is a good thing. They are looking to figure out ways to improve congestion. The worst thing that ever happened in this whole thing was that they closed the on-ramp for people to get on Highway 101 right there by the bird refuge. They closed it, and so now everybody goes up to Olive Mill. They go Coast Village Road, and they get on the freeway there, and it is a nightmare. Pretty much every day of the Monday through Friday during commute time. So, I trust that they're spending these millions and millions and millions of dollars on something that eventually is going to help the commute, but they really need to reopen that on-ramp. They really need to figure out a way to relieve that bottleneck. And obviously it's cool what they're doing, but more lanes, we've all been lucky, because the last year during the pandemic, the commute, we're not as much aware of it as we were. Hopefully obviously it's going to be better. How much better by the time it's all
When
done?
is it going to be better? Jay, what's the completion date on this? Do we know?
They not officially yet. Like at least a year earlier than expected, but because the last portion, the Santa Barbara and the Montecito portion, isn't fully funded yet, and they're still kind of working on design and permitting, no one could really give me an answer on the estimated completion date.
I mean, and big picture, Jerry, just to follow up, is we don't have enough workforce housing for all the people who work here. So they've got to come out, and they've got to live in Ventura, Oxnard, various other communities, and they come in and out every day on that 2-lane highway through Montecito. And so it's a regional transportation issue. It's also a housing issue. There's environmental issues that come up when you've got that parking lot called 101 right there in Carpinteria. It's an issue that is bigger than just whether you've got a commute or not. It's an environmental problem as well.
Right. And I don't want to get too deep in the weeds on this, but there's also, is there not a train that goes back and forth? Why do we not have decent commuter rail service?
Well, they were able to launch one train before the pandemic started. The big challenge has been able to sync Amtrak's train service with the times that people actually need to get to work in Santa Barbara and Goleta. Amtrak, they were able to figure it out. They got closer to start times, but then the pandemic hit and nobody was commuting. So they stalled that. We've got a train track downtown. We've got one in Goleta. We're not really a transportation town. I mean, all of the transportation planners will say, oh, it's great, and then get on an e-bike for the last mile, blah, blah, blah. But it's not really worked out yet in a way that's been substantial for a majority of people.
Because people in Southern California want to be in their cars. And there's nothing you can do about it. All right, Josh, you mentioned fires as a potential problem, political problem for the governor. And Jade, we had a really scary fire. This Loma Fire was like, I mean, it's not kind of what you think of. It's, everybody's going, well, you've got 4 hours to evacuate or whatever. This thing just went right up TV Hill. So is it all done? Is it out? What do we know about the cause and all that?
Yeah, so it was officially declared 100% out on Monday, like afternoon, evening-ish. I think some roads are still closed around there, and they're still, encouraging people to be careful of falling rocks or anything from the burn area. They did arrest someone for arson. I think actually they just charged him a day or so ago. But there was stories of him just like walking around, dropping match. I don't know for sure, but
Yeah, throwing matches. But Josh, going on the old political adage, never let a good crisis go to waste. The city council sort of latched onto this to have a big hearing about homeless encampments, of which there are many, and where there are many fires. What was the outcome?
So city council had a special emergency meeting on Tuesday at 6 p.m. So it wasn't agendized. They put out an emergency, got it out there, and they had a discussion. There wasn't a lot there. It was basically like, let's freestyle, brainstorm. Police chief, fire chief talked about some of the issues. So what they're going to do and what they're going to come back with in 2 weeks, because there's no meeting this Tuesday, they don't meet after a holiday. They're going to look at and identify some sites to move people from encampments to a place somewhere in Santa Barbara. Councilwoman Megan Harmon suggested the City Hall parking lot, which I thought was fantastic, because I mean, that's never going to happen, but the fact that she suggested it.
Well, isn't that just because she doesn't want it at that other site in her district, where they were going to put the tiny homes? I mean,
Yeah,
she sounded rather unctuous on that, I thought, but and she could be
Yes.
the one to call up the owners of the newspaper and tell them about it too. I think that would be a fly on
Yeah.
the wall.
Yeah, I don't think they understand the wrath that they're going to incur if they try to put an encampment in the City Hall parking lot. But yeah, also the people who live on Castillo Street obviously do not. I mean, I didn't speak for them; they didn't really call in, but very likely probably do not want an encampment there. They didn't like the tiny homes proposal, and Megan Harmon was very much adamant, saying, I am opposed to this site. So they're going to evaluate a whole bunch of sites. They threw out some sites. They're looking at that Carrillo Castillo commuter lot. They're looking at the City Hall parking lot, De La Guerra Plaza. Also, Kristen Sneddon suggested the Sears parking lot. I think she's talking about up there where the the upper level
one where you used to get your tires put on. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. And so
that's
there
a
was
big
this
space. I mean, that's not a really good idea, actually.
yeah, there's a lot of land over there, and there's a lot going on in La Cumbre Plaza. The malls are not real big, but Macy's gets some traffic, and there's a whole bunch of restaurants over there in Bristol Farm. So I could see that being problematic, but they could do that. And also Earl Warren Showgrounds was another place that they had thought about, which seems like a really good spot to do something like that, because
horse people aren't going to like it, Josh. Take my word for it.
Yeah, well, nobody's going to like it. Where are you going to put it? So that's what they're talking about. And they're all sort of freaked out, even though this fire was not started by an encampment. They say that it was a reminder of how quickly a fire could start by people who are trying to stay warm or trying to stay cooked at encampments. And they have examples of other fires that have started. So they're definitely moving quickly on this one.
Yeah, I mean, Pat McElroy, the former fire chief, told me there used to be a lot of homeless encampments there, and it was cleaned up. But I was kind of astonished by what the fire chief said. What did he say? That in the last 3 weeks there have been 18 fires at homeless encampments, something like that.
Yeah, he had some statistics, and he did say that. So I mean, so here's the thing. Everyone talks about it, everyone knows about it, and they complain about it, and they bring it up, and they're like, oh, this, we got to be careful. And then they had the big TV Hill Loma fire, and now it's like, we better do something. So Councilman Jordan, Eric Friedman, they rushed this, put this on the agenda, and they're trying to act quick. It's obviously a very smart thing to do. Obviously, they should have thought of this sooner, but they're doing it now, and it's going to hopefully be good for the people living in encampments. There was talk from some of the outreach workers that just because you have an encampment, or just because you move an encampment to a parking lot and you have some services and some shelter, does not mean that people who live in encampments are going to want to come join the club. Like they live out there for a reason. They like it. They don't like that kind of structure in some cases. So it's going to be messy for sure.
Yeah, and just parenthetically, a piece in the LA Times where they have, made a real effort on encampments, and it cost them, I I can't remember if it was 28 or 20, approximately $2,500 per tent to carry out with all the services and stuff, which is rent, right? I mean, it's crazy that this is going on. I thought your friend Anna Marie and my friend Anna Maria Gott really got to the nut of it with her list of things. And my favorite one was put it in the parking lot of the community development department. I think, yeah, let them go out and red tag people's tents and stuff.
See, Jade covers the county, so she has yet to experience Anna Marie Gott. So if Anna Marie Gott is watching right now, I encourage you to contact Jade and familiarize yourself with the county issues so Jade can get a better understanding of what we talk about. Anna Marie Gott's really smart. She's really good at all these issues, but she's relentless and she complains about everything. And the people at City Hall just have no time for her. So maybe it's time for her to spread the wealth of the county.
No, I think that's an idea. All right, we're closing in. The other thing that emerged of great interest from the council was the Healing Justice Black Lives Matter folks came back at the request, I guess, of Kristen Sneddon and Oscar Gutierrez for what was billed as an update hearing, but they were there. And I think the takeaway from your story was, we're here to cash the check. And they wanted, what, 500 grand?
Yeah, so they gave a very good presentation highlighting the work that they've done since this all began about a year ago. And so they did an overview. They talked about the work, the transition, Healing Justice, Santa Barbara, and all the things they've done in the community. And one of their demands a year ago was for a multicultural resource center. And so they brought this up again, and they asked the city to contribute $500,000 or $500,000 for 2 years to cover the cost of rent. And it wasn't on the agenda, so they couldn't vote on it. From a couple of the council members that I spoke to offline, they were surprised by this amount.
And they weren't all that happy with their colleague Kristen either, that she had kind of opened this door, I think. Yeah,
and I don't know that they're going to get $500,000. I mean, it's going to be really a tough decision in a political year, an election year for the council, because if they say no, right, they're going to have to face consequences. If they say yes, people are going to say, what are you talking about? There's other money that we could be using. So I'm not sure they're going to work out some deal or,
what did they say about the county? Did they say they said they'd been in the county and the county had.
They're frustrated because they said that they've been pushed back and forth. They've been told to talk to the county too and have gotten no results from the county. So they're back at the city. And it seems as though the city's the only one that's really taking any kind of initiative to work with them on this issue. So, maybe they'll figure out a way to find the money. There wasn't much talk. There was zero talk about it because they were kind of caught flat-footed, at least in the moment. And, it was interesting because right after that, they talked about the encampments, and it's going to cost a lot of money. I mean, it's going to be I think they said for 4 months that it was going to be like almost $1 million.
I don't see four votes there. If you get Kristen and Oscar and Alejandra, I don't know where the fourth vote comes from. Well, although if there is a fourth vote, they'll all jump on it. All right. Just really quick, Josh, this long-awaited economic development plan from the economic development czar came out. I was kind of underwhelmed, at least based on your piece.
What you saying? You don't like my writing, Jerk?
No. I wasn't underwhelmed with your piece. I was underwhelmed with the plan as reported in your piece. That was clear, wasn't it, Jade?
I'm just having fun here. Okay, yeah. It took them, I don't know, since 15 months basically.
Yeah.
To come up with an economic development plan. They hired economic development manager to do this, and it was this 27-page report, which was largely cribbed from what these consultants had talked about. All the
other reports.
We're going to work with business. We're going to provide training. We're going to support businesses. There was some new stuff there, trying to cultivate more of an economy with the commercial fishermen. There was some discussion of that as well in terms of trying to support that industry. But they never even had the discussion on Tuesday because the previous items on the council took so long, they had to postpone it and go straight into the encampments. But
it didn't sound like there was anything new there.
There was not a lot new. That was essentially, we need to figure out a way to streamline planning. We need to work efficiently. We need to work faster. We need to support businesses. We need to have training. It was all the things that everyone had sort of talked about. I mean, it was 27 pages. I mean,
was it triple spaced? Maybe,
you and I wrote a few political stories back in the day that were longer than 27 pages. Sunday front page, double track, some photos. I mean, come on.
All right, let's end on a happy note. So Jade, are you now liberated? Are you out and about in society? Do you have big plans for the Memorial Day weekend?
I'm dog sitting this weekend, and that's my big plan. I don't even really like dogs.
You don't even like the dog? Oh, that's terrible. What? You just got kind of roped into this, or what happened?
Yeah, it's my boyfriend's sister. She lives like half an hour away, so I said I would do it.
Is the dog wearing a mask or no? The dog's not.
It's not
What kind of dog is it?
I don't know. It's a small dog. It's kind of one of those like kind of naked dogs. It's not too furry. It's not very cute.
Well, I'm a cat person, so I feel for you.
Your boyfriend's sister is going to be very happy when she sees you. Your poor dog. Josh, you got big plans for the weekend?
Well, I'm going to try to clean out the garage, which will be a very long, enduring effort. I'm doing a story about the off-sale alcohol ordinance that the city's been talking about. And I'm also covering some Memorial Day service on Monday. So
Oh, you're working. All right. Okay.
I'll be staying busy. Yeah. And Jacob, Jerry, the big news is my son Jacob is taking his first driving lessons as we speak, on his way to getting a license. So if you hear a car crash before we cut off, that's what it was.
Are you going to buy him a car now?
I'm going to trade mine in, buy him one, and I'm going to take the bus. Yeah.
Jacob, yeah, make sure you get a car. All right. Well, we got kids coming over and their parents leaving, so we'll be busy, I'm sure, over the weekend. All right, everybody have a safe and happy Memorial Day weekend. The virus is not yet gone, so continue to be careful. Jade Martinez-Pogue and Josh Molina, thank you both for taking the time, and we'll see you next time on Newsmakers. Take care.
Thank you.